Good morning. Thank you all for being here. UAB concludes the season this Saturday at North Texas. So with that, I'll turn it over to Coach Dilfer for an opening statement.
Good morning. I'm going to use this opening statement a little bit different. I think this is an appropriate week to do this in an era where we're seeing coaches being fired and the hundreds of millions of dollars being wasted. I told you from the jump start that I thought this was one of the most overrated positions in all of football, except for who you hire, the culture you have, and the platform that you use. And I'm really proud of this year for a few things, despite the record. Number one, our community service, over 1,300 hours our boys have given back to the city of Birmingham, over a $40,000 economic impact. And then my ability to use my platform to spread goodness. My shoe for my cause has been something I've decided to do this year. This is my son's foundation in front of me, but over there you see all the different causes that we've celebrated and tried to pour gasoline on their mission throughout the year. It's been a really big success. This being November, it's National Adoption Month. This week's shoe will be the Dave Thomas Foundation shoe. There's over 140,000 kids looking for forever families right now in our country. The Dave Thomas Foundation has placed about just under 14,000 kids with forever families. Matt McCants, who is somebody that is the glue to this program. I mean, I might tear up thinking about what he's done for this program. Was adopted. It's dear to his heart. I wanted to use the last game of the year, with it being November, National Adoption Month, and how dear Matt is to my heart and this program's heart to celebrate a foundation that's been close to his heart. So I know there's a lot of football stuff to talk about, but I think the narrative, for me at least this week, is we have a lot to be thankful for. We're in a great city that has incredible charitable organizations. I've been fortunate enough to be attached to some other ones nationally that we've been able to celebrate. And I'm hoping this is something that I can use my platform to pour even a little more gasoline on. So with that, North Texas is an incredibly challenging opponent. Their offense looks like a bunch of superstars playing. They have incredible numbers. We have a great challenge. With that, I'll take some questions.
You said, you're looking at the offense, a lot of guys that can make plays, but also it's a team that's given up a lot of sacks this year, 37 sacks. So, how much does that play into a game plan, trying to be, more aggressive, go after the quarterback, affect him?
Well, you got to be careful because the quarterback might be the most talented player in the conference, and that's with, Tulane's kid, Pratt. That's Pratt, right? Pratt, yeah. Pratt and Frank Harris, two of the better players in the country. This kid might be the most talented. He is, wow. Is he talented? And if you make a mistake, he can beat you with anticipation. He can beat you with arm strength. He can beat you with his legs. Design quarterback runs. His scramble run clip is like scary. So I think you gotta be very careful. They're a very aggressive offense. And can run the ball very well too, so they create a lot of challenges for you. So it's not as easy as, hey, we're just going to pin our ears back and rush the passer. Teams have tried that and they've gotten gashed doing it. Look at the Tulsa game. So I think it's probably our greatest challenge defensively of the year. Now, thank goodness we're playing good defense right now. We've been trending upwards. We handled a very good quarterback last week, but this is a different animal. This is not only is he a very good passer, but his strength, it's not even athleticism, he's so strong. You see him break so many sacks, get out of so many sacks, so many tackles, that I honestly, I don't know what the plan is right now.
You spoke just now about your defense's progression. In what areas do you think that you've progressed the most over the last 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it is?
Honestly, I'll give kind of the big 30,000-foot answer. It's Sione going upstairs, everybody in the building getting on the same page of him. You know what I mean? You hire coordinators to be the brain children for your sides of the ball. And everybody in the building has to be on that same page. And, this is a new staff. They're great coaches, but everybody's done it a little bit differently, different places. And I think once everybody kind of got on the same page, then the kids started sensing that, okay, this is who we are and this is how we're going to grow. And it was about that moment. Now, the game, it didn't show up. There's still big yardage numbers and we're still losing games, but your eye sees, okay, that's better technique. That's better structure. That's better eye work. And then you start adding freshmen into the mix. We're playing a bunch of freshmen, and okay, they're getting it, and they're playing at a high level. So I knew it was coming at some point. I didn't have the guts to say it was coming, to be honest with you, especially against E.J. Warner, but you knew it was coming at some point. And last week, outside of 4 plays, we played phenomenal defense. Not good defense, phenomenal defense outside of 4 big plays we gave up, which were really well-designed plays and some really good effort on Temple's side of the ball. And I also say this too, it's very hard. Look at the national numbers on defense. It's very hard to play great defense in college football right now. So even when you play good defense, you're still going to give up some plays because these offenses are so dynamic and the rules are in such favor of the offense as well.
If I could just real quick follow
Yeah,
up on that.
I got all the time in the world.
Okay. Just, you've been, Sione's been alongside you for a long time,
Yep.
for a while. How much with him have you seen him grow during this? Because this is new to him. And how much have you seen him grow?
I'm really proud of him. This was hard for all of us now. I mean, your pride, your ego, which I think is different, your self-worth gets tied into this thing. And, when you're getting gashed, and, we don't hide from the truth. We're getting gashed. You start questioning yourself at times. And I saw Sione go through a real introspective time. And to his credit, he didn't flinch. Like, he didn't go in a hole. He didn't cower. He didn't make excuses. He didn't blame other people. He took a close look in the mirror. We spent a lot of time together as friends, but also as colleagues, and said, we're not about problems. We're about solutions. That's kind of how me and him have rolled for the last 15 years. And we went to work on finding solutions, and we think we found them. Super proud of him. There's nobody else I'd rather have by my side as defense coordinator than Sione, and I'm putting my job on the line there, and I feel very confident doing so.
And Trent, sticking with the defense, Ricky Lee played a lot of the second half at safety, and I thought he played well. What went into that, moving him back to that safety position, and also, can we expect that going forward this Saturday in Denver?
Yeah, need. Ricky is, I think he's a special football player. You hear the term instincts all the time. He has unique instincts, and they showed up the day he got here. He also carries himself in a manner that I want our team to carry themselves with, which kind of is an aggressive, no flinch, nothing bothers me mentality. If you notice before he makes the big play, he gets beat on a post pattern. Bad eyes, post gets over the top of him. Luckily, it's incomplete, and the guy just shakes it off. Like, he has this amazing ability to shake it off, not let it get in his head, and then makes, I think, 3 kind of game-changing plays after that play. Whereas, a lot of college athletes, they make a bad play and it kind of snowballs on them. I went through that in my career in the NFL where I made a bad play and I got in my head and I kept making more bad plays, and I still regret that. So I look for players that don't have that in them. Ricky's also done a great job changing his habits off the field. Talk about a student athlete that cares about his academics. He's the guy that will text me screenshots of his assignments at 10. I'm asleep. I wake up to him, and I wake up to screenshots of his assignments that he's turning in and essays that he's written because he's proud of the work he's putting in academically too. So he moved to safety midweek. This is not something he's been practicing. Like midweek, he's like, yeah, we're a little banged up at safety. I'll play around with it. And you have him and Chris Bracey, 2 freshies out there in practice, lining up at strong and free and doing a good job. And by the way, Chris played well too. Chris got beat on 1 play with bad eyes. Besides that, played at a high level. So, again, this is about these guys that are leaving. I still want to make this about the seniors, but We have some freshmen that are playing at a really, really, really high level. Everett Roussel played at an incredibly high level against Temple. Amari, although it didn't show up in the stat page, is wide open on 4 massive plays. That he's going to have 150 yards of receiving. We just can't get the ball off because of some protection things. So our freshies are playing at a really, really high level.
Kind of staying on that, you spoke about Broussard and Ricky, and they come from a high
Yep.
level high school program. And,
Yep.
obviously, being in a high level high school program.
Yep.
You see that. When you recruit, do you look for guys that come from programs that are successful?
Yes, you do both because there's some. Corey Milliner, who shows another true freshie, 50-yard catch or whatever it was, first action of the season. He comes from a small little school here in Alabama. So you don't want to just say we're only going to recruit the big time program. I think that would be short-sighted, but you're going to lean towards programs that have what I would say college expectations put on them, both academically and athletically. So like at Lipscomb, I would tell guys all the time, like, you don't understand, these kids will roll into your building and they will be as professional as your seniors. And I'm hearing back from Heupel at Tennessee that Nathan, can I talk about other student athletes? I don't want. Okay. Nathan Spillman shows up as a true freshman at University of Tennessee, and he's already a leader. He's crushing the classroom. He's crushing practice. He's a leader on special teams. Like he's a total pro. Brian Longwell, Junior Sherrill at Vanderbilt, both of them playing as true freshmen in the SEC, both playing at a high level. Brian Longwell gets a block punt in a big game, playing inside backer, also dominating school. Brandon Solis at Missouri, who academically really struggled at Lipscomb, changed his habits late in his career, 4.0 at Missouri, being raved about by Drink. So, our kids at Lipscomb went on and had those habits that helped their college programs perform at a higher level. So I'm like, well, we're not the only people that did it. There's a bunch of people out there in high school football that are putting really high standards on their high school athletes. That's going to help your building when they come in here, and they're going to be able to play at a high level earlier than a kid that's going to take that's going to need that time to develop.
Kind of keep going with the young guys, with the freshmen, how would it look, going into this game, trying to, keep the guys maybe from redshirting, or, using their red shirt?
Yeah. It's a good question.
As well as trying to get some older guys, maybe guys who might hit the portal or something like that later to, get their best foot forward and get their, put their best out there.
Yeah, we're trying to be really respectful of that. I think, when I said as player first, I meant it, and it might hurt us a little bit this week. Like we're not gonna play a handful of kids because they've hit their 4, and either if they stay here, we want them to be able to use that red shirt, or if they choose to go elsewhere, we don't want to burn their red shirt for their next stop. So, we're very cognizant of that. We made a mistake a few weeks ago that we've rectified with a young player, and I don't ever want to make that again. I want to make sure that we're keeping our players' best interest in mind. Cameron Shanks is one that we won't play this week because he's played his 4, and we want to use it as a red shirt. There's a couple others I don't want to mention, but he's one that off the top of my head, we want to be respectful to his career and not burn it.
Trent, can you talk about the status of Tyreek Howard and Michael Moore for this Saturday? Are they either one going to be?
Yeah, Michael Moore will be questionable. Tyreek will play. So Michael Moore will probably be a late week decision, dealing with the shoulder, and then Tyreek keeps re-injuring this ankle, but he's been it's his last hurrah, so he's really trying hard to play every week, and he's already told me that he'll be ready to go on Saturday.
And speaking of some of those seniors that you were talking about earlier, Skull having almost a career day against Temple, what has he meant since the year that you've been here, and what does he mean to this program and his last time as a Blazer this Saturday in North Texas?
Yeah, I might tear up on this one. Here's a guy that when I got here, people raved about his playing. And I met with him early on, and I wanted to talk about his off-field stuff. I wanted to make sure that he was learning how to be a big-time man as well as a big-time player, and he bought in right away. We've had a ton of heart-to-hearts. He's like a son to me. I've joked with my daughters. I said, hey, if I bring a kid home, his name's going to be Jermaine Brown. He's going to be part of our family. They're like, cool, Dad, whatever. I love this kid. He is a special human. He's a great competitor. He's a great teammate. I mean, he's one of the all-time great Blazers. His stats proves that, and just my short experience with him. Now, I will say this. I was talking to Steve about this last night. I think I get too much credit for this relationship, though. I think Henley Brigham is really the one. Like, if you want to tell a story about Jermaine Brown, you have to talk about Henley Brigham. You know, Henley found him, developed him, has mentored him, has loved him, has done basically parented him as well as coached him while he's been here. And I think what that's allowed me to benefit from is a young person that has a mindset that's like an old guy. And we've been able to establish a really good relationship because of what Henley has nurtured into him.
How will you handle this week with Thanksgiving and just a different week? Just how you handle this week?
We're changing a lot of things, actually. Number one, we got to win on the road. You know, this has been I've only experienced this one other times with the Seahawks. We couldn't win on the road. I got there and I was like, what is going on? Like, I just came from a Super Bowl team. It doesn't matter where you play. Like, and we couldn't win on the road. And Mike tried a bunch of different things. Nothing really worked. And then finally when it turned, it was maintaining the good things you're doing on a road week, but then adding a couple little wrinkles in. And that's what I'm trying to do this week. I'm trying to shake it up a little bit. I'm gonna allow them to sleep in on 2 of the work days because they don't have school. So we'll go a later practice schedule. We're dramatically changing how we travel, even how we prepare here Friday before we get on the plane, how we bus, the demeanor which we carry ourselves on the bus and the plane. We're going to change up our routine once we get to Texas. We're going to change up our Saturday morning routine a little bit, just to create a little more of an edge, you know, a little more of a tip of the spear kind of hot focus, if you want to call it that. So, yeah, this is a huge week for me. For us. I think this group has now gotten to the point where they need to learn how to prepare like champions and play like champions, and this is our last one, so it might as well be our championship game, and that's how we'll look at it moving forward this week.
That's not for John's earlier question. How important was it to have guys like Jermaine Brown, Fish McWilliams, and have their leadership, have their just presence on this team when having to endure, the challenges y'all have this year?
Massive. It started from jump when you're trying to, as I've said, I didn't want to change a ton of things. I thought Bill and BV did a lot of really good things, but you got to make it yours, right? It's got to fit into your core values and cultural beliefs. So there were some pretty dramatic changes in how we did things, and for these guys to buy in early allowed us to have a very competitive spring, allowed us to carry that over to the fall camp. And then through the midst of adversity, characters revealed through adversity, and their character has really shown well in the adversity. I mean, I said it when we were 2-6. You wouldn't know if we were 2-6 or 8-0 when we went to practice that week, and that speaks volumes. That's not my culture. That's the leadership of the older guys who easily could have gone the other way. They could have said, well, this guy's crazy and this hasn't worked, and instead, I'm getting texts of, hey, coach, keep doing the same thing. And they're coming to my office saying, hey, don't change a thing. You're going to build multiple championship teams here, and we'll be the ones that help lay the groundwork. So, it's been super encouraging to hear from them. As a parent, I'm this way. Like, I always told my kids I didn't have all the answers, but I'm willing to find them out. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to find out the answers. And a lot of times I'm going to lean on my kids. So, I'd lean on my girls for stuff like, hey, help me do a better job here. And they would give me good feedback. And I kind of leaned on these guys the same way, like, give me feedback so I can be better at this job. And a lot of them give me really good feedback. And I've changed the way I do things because it's more appropriate for this age group. And I'm getting that information from these older guys.
That leadership trickles down to the younger guys, seeing that these older guys, these seniors who aren't going to evolve for the first time in their careers are, they know what's at stake for further down for the program.
Yeah, I think they've the one thing we don't have is a ton of vocal stuff on this team, which I'm fine with. I don't think you need a ton of vocal leaders, but what they have done is they're relational leaders. So like your Skulls have met with your Lee Beebe's, right, and talked to them about how this next practice, although somebody might say it's not for anything, is worth everything, right? And then you have Tajon Palmer leading the receiver room and making sure that Amari Thomas and Cameron Shanks and Corey Milliner and these guys understand that, hey, Tuesday's practice is a big deal. You have a chance to get better. And I'm out here with a banged up hamstring, and people say I have nothing to play for, but I'm killing myself to get better this week. And, you have enough of that. You have the Swoops that's played with every injury you could have in the book, and he's out there on a physical day on a Wednesday, kind of showing a Chris Bracey what it looks like to compete at a high level when you're banged up. And it goes to the training room. The one I will say is Dan Springer's done a great job creating a culture of guys that take care of their bodies. You go down there in the afternoon, and you're going to see probably more than the NFL, because NFL players are legendary for skipping treatment. Our guys aren't skipping treatment. And who's down there? It's the older guys, taking care of their hamstrings, getting extra stem, getting in the cold tub, getting in the hot tub, doing the Normatec sleeves, whatever it is, taking care of their bodies, taking that professional approach. So our guys see that, the young guys see that, and they go, okay, this is how a pro works. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think, if we do turn this thing around, like I think we will, and we're having a lot of success, I'll sit up here next year and be like, hey, remember week 11 last year? Well, let me tell you what happened week 11, and let me tell you how that carried over to this off season and this fall camp and this season, how these guys have taken on more of a professional approach because they got to see it from some of the veterans last year, despite having disappointing circumstances.
All right, Coach.
I did a lot of talking, sorry.
Play on a Thursday?
Did I ever play on a Thursday?
On Thanksgiving?
No, I never played in a Thanksgiving game.
Evan,
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't ask him the must-have dish on Thanksgiving.
Is that a typical question?
He always does.
I've changed over the years.
Are you a cranberry sauce?
I am
Can or?
both.
Can, no.
So we had this conversation the other day. So I like both. My wife will make a homemade one that's ridiculous, but we also have the can because I like and I actually do both. Stuffing's probably my favorite. I think, yep, it's dressing. Yep, it's dressing down here. And we'll have both there. There'll be a homemade one. My wife's a heck of a cook, so she'll do a homemade one, and we'll also do the boxed one because one of our kids, I will not name her, likes the boxed one. And then we have ham and turkey. We're big believers in having both. And then my family's a dessert. They all have sweet tooths but me. You'd probably think I do how I look, but they all have massive sweet tooth. So the pies and the desserts and the sweet potato casserole and all these different things, it's like a sugar fest.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys. Please get some pictures of the shoes and, at least talk about it at some level. Thank you. No, I'm going to give them all back to the charity,
Okay.
except these.
Yes.
These will be displayed in my office. So. Oh, sorry.